Hello and welcome to Laurice's Kitchen. Tonight I'm starting a new series with hypoallergenic foods. A friend from high school who found my YouTube channel recently approached me with a challenge. Stephanie has 3 children with various food allergies. Among them are the usuals, dairy, egg, and peanuts, but also included in this list is gluten, sweet potato, and pork. She asked if I could help her come up with some meal ideas and some snacks. Her first requests were graham crackers and rice cakes. Tonight we're going to be tackling the graham crackers. Now this recipe is directly adapted from Alton Brown's graham cracker recipe. We'll be using gluten-free flour, dairy-free margarine, and almond milk in place of the all-purpose flour, butter, and milk. So let's see how this turns out. Since we can't use graham flour, the next best thing is sorghum flour. The only problem is this sorghum flour is milled very finely, and our graham flour has just a little bit of texture to it. So to compensate, I'm replacing 1 ounce of the sorghum flour with 1 ounce of almond meal. Now these graham crackers are being made in the food processor. We'll process our flours, salt, baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, and brown sugar until it's combined. Then we'll cut in our margarine and eventually add in the liquids, the milk, the molasses, and the vanilla. Once that forms a dough ball, we'll press it into a rectangle, cover it with plastic wrap, and put it in the refrigerator to firm up. 1 ounce of almond meal, 7 3/8 ounces of the sorghum flour, 1 7/8 ounces of gluten-free flour, 3 ounces of dark brown sugar, half of a teaspoon of baking soda, and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half teaspoon of kosher salt. We're just going to pulse this to combine. Now we're cutting in 3 ounces of cold margarine. Okay, now that this resembles sand, we're going to go ahead and add in our milk, vanilla, and molasses. This is 3 tablespoons of almond milk, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, and 2 1/4 ounces of molasses. We're going to pulse this until it becomes a dough, which will take between 45 seconds and a minute. I have some plastic wrap here. We're going to put this dough down in the plastic wrap and tightly wrap it. Then it's going in the refrigerator for about half an hour. Now I will say that this looks exactly like the dough from the regular graham crackers. Eventually this dough is going to have to be shaped into a rectangle to roll it out, so I'm just going to go ahead and shape it into a rectangle right now. We need to press this down to about 1/2 inch thick. Alright, then we're going to tightly cover this. Okay, this is going in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. Okay, you can see how soft that is. Alright, one thing I have noticed right now, this dough has been in the refrigerator for 2 hours and it is still very soft, so that might be a little bit of a problem for when we go to roll this out. Alright, so that's on parchment paper and we're going to cover it with another sheet. Okay, I'm going to roll this to 1/8 inch thick, start in the middle and roll to the ends. And we want this to be as uniform as possible and also in the shape of a rectangle. All right, and the other thing I've learned is the thinner the better. Okay, so we're gonna take this off. Okay, now I'm just gonna trim a little bit of this away. This will end up on the cookie sheet, or actually off the cookie sheet. These are gonna be kind of rustic. We're gonna cut these into squares as best as we can. Okay, and then we're just going to prick these with the fork. I'm using my insulated cookie sheet. We're just going to slide this right on, parchment paper and all. Once my oven preheats to 350 degrees, these are going to go in for at least 25 minutes. One of the things I have noticed between the two doughs, this is much looser. It did not firm up nearly as much as the regular graham cracker dough. So we may need to put it in there for just a little bit longer. Now, the other thing that I did to compensate, this is rolled to about 1/16 of an inch, so probably thinner is better. We want these to be nice and crisp when they come out of the oven. Okay, the timer's gone off. We're supposed to have these just brown around the edges, and actually it looks like I'm going to leave this in here for another 3 minutes. Okay, I don't want these to burn. We need to leave these crackers on the pan. Eventually they're going to go on a cooling rack to cool on the pan. We need these crackers to be dry and crisp, unlike cookies, which we want to stay moist. Now, I did try the dough from this, and it tastes exactly the same as the dough from the regular graham crackers. However, just looking at it, it does look different. So I'm not sure if it's going to break the same or if it's going to have the same texture now that it's been cooked. But we'll soon find out. Okay, these are sufficiently cool. I managed to get it off the parchment paper without breaking it. So let's see if we can crack it along these lines. Oh, okay, that worked. Oh, that broke a little bit. All right, these are breaking okay. And these actually smell more like graham crackers than the regular graham cracker did. I've got all 3 different graham crackers here. Store-bought, homemade, and the hypoallergenic homemade. Let's give these all a taste. Okay, so here's your classic graham cracker. Crisp, tastes just like a store-bought graham cracker. Okay, I've just taken a drink of water. Let's try the homemade. Thicker. These smell like a gingerbread cookie. Okay, this is more like eating a cookie. It's actually really good. I wouldn't call it a graham cracker though. The more I eat these, the more I think I would be inclined to sit and just munch on these as opposed to the store-bought. Let's try the hypoallergenic. Thinner, actually feel a lot crisper and lighter. Definitely crunchier. These two essentially taste exactly the same. The texture is just a little crisper on this one. I think it's perfect.